Hare Krishna, good evening. So, last day before yesterday, we were reading the prayers by Lord Brahma to Krishna after having stolen the coward boys and cows and kept them somewhere else. A moment of Brahma, in Brahma's time, he thought, I may not have done the right thing, and went to earth and looked at what was going on. And Krishna was there with all the coward boys and calves. And he was confused, and to dispel Brahma's confusion, Krishna turned all the boys and coward boys into all the calves and coward boys into four-armed Vishnu forms, his original four-armed Vishnu forms. And these four-armed Vishnu forms dispelled Brahma's doubt as to how come this bag doesn't look so good here. How come um, the okay, I'm gonna answer to Lorelei. Yes, I am doing. Yes. Yeah, how come that he saw all these boys and Krishna, and how come he thought he had them, and how did Krishna have them there? And that dispelled the situation, and he understood his foolishness and his punity of his magic or his abilities compared to his creator, his father, Brahma's father, Krishna. So he has these beautiful prayers, and right now we've ended with him, Brahma, stating Krishna's different incarnations. It's not a coconut water ad, but I was just thirsty there. Actually, you're alone. Everything. Actually, you are alone. Everything. That's more or less where we ended Brahma's prayers yesterday. So continuing on, you're the creator, maintainer, and annihilator. Similarly, you expand yourself in different incarnations. Among the demigods, you incarnate as Vamana Dev. Among the sages, you incarnate as Parashuram. Among the human beings, you appear as yourself, Lord Krishna, and Lord Ram. Among the animals, you appear as the boar incarnation. And among the aquatics, you appear as the incarnation of fish, also known as Matsya. And yet you have no appearance. You are always eternal. Your appearance and disappearance are made possible by your inconceivable energy. Just to give protection to the faithful devotees and to annihilate the demons. And that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata avyuktanam dharmasya tyajantya nam kalevur. Well, I got the last Sanskrit wrong, but he states that, yeah, my appearance and disappearance are there to give protection to the faithful and annihilate the demons, as well as to re-establish the principle of religion. Religion maybe have a bad connotation these days, but yoga and religion comes from the word religare, which means to connect, and yoga is also meaning connection. So yoga, religion, similar, and yoga doesn't have that negative connotation as religion has these days. Now, O my Lord, O all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, controller of all mystic powers, no one can appreciate your transcendental pastimes as they are exhibited within these three worlds. No one can estimate how you have expanded your yoga maya and your incarnation, and how you act by your transcendental energy. My dear Lord, this whole cosmic manifestation is just like a flashing dream, and its temporary existence simply disturbs the mind. As a result, we're full of anxiety in this existence. To live within this material world means simply to suffer and to be full of miseries. And yet this temporary existence of the material world appears to be pleasing and dear on account of its having evolved from your body, which is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. My conclusion, Brahma continues, therefore is that you are the Supreme Soul, Absolute Truth, the Supreme Original Person, and although you have expanded yourself in so many Vishnu forms and in living entities and energies by your inconceivable transcendental potencies, you are the Supreme One without a second. You are the Supreme Super Soul. The innumerable living entities are simply like sparks of the original fire. Your Lordship, the conception of the Super Soul, your Lordship, your Lordship, the conception of the Super Soul as impersonal is wrongly accepted because I see that you are the original person. A person with a poor funded knowledge may think that because you're the son of may think that because you're the son of Nanda Maharaj, you're not the original person. That you are born just like a human being. They're mistaken. You are the actual original person. That is my conclusion. In spite of your being the son of Nanda, you are the original person, and there's no doubt about it. You are the absolute truth, and you are not of this material darkness. You are the source of the original Brahma Jyoti as well as the material luminaries. Your transcendental effulgence is identical with Brahma Jyoti. So this is helping you understand what Brahma Jyoti is. That's Krishna's transcendental effulgence. As it's described in the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma Jyoti is nothing but your personal bodily effulgence. There are many Vishnu incarnations and incarnations of your different qualities, but all those incarnations are not on the same level. You're the original lamp. Other incarnations may possess the same candle power. So we're talking about candles here. You're the original lamp, and from other incarnations may possess the same candle power as the original lamp, but the original lamp is the beginning of all light. And because you are not one of the creations of this material world, even after the annihilation of this world, your existence as you are will continue. Because you're the original person, you're therefore described in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, as well as in the Brahma Samhita as Govindam Adi Purusham. Govinda is the original person, the cause of all causes. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is stated that you are the source of all Brahman effulgence. No one should conclude that your body is like an ordinary material body. Your body is akshara, indestructible. The material body is always full of threefold miseries, but your body is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, full of being, bliss, knowledge, and eternity. I didn't read that wrong. Full of being, bliss, knowledge, and eternity. That's what Prabhupada says. You're also Niranjana because your pastimes as the little son of Mother Yashoda or the Lord of the Gopis are never contaminated by the material qualities. And although you exhibit yourself in so many coward boys, calves, and cows, your transcendental potency is not reduced. You're always complete. As it is described in the Vedic literatures, even if the complete is taken away from the complete, the supreme absolute truth, it yet remains the complete, the absolute truth. And although many expansions from the complete are visible, the complete is one without a second. Since all your pastimes are spiritual, there's no possibility of their being contaminated by the material modes of nature. When you place yourself subordinate to your father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda, you're not reduced in your potency. This is an expression of your loving attitude for your devotees. There's no other competitor of second identity than yourself. A person with a poor fundamental knowledge concludes that your pastimes and appearance are simply material designations. You're transcendental to both nescience and knowledge. As it is confirmed in the Gopal Tapani, you are the original Amrita, or nectar of immortality, indestructible. As it is confirmed in the Vedas, Amritam Shashvatam Brahme. Brahman is the eternal, the supreme origin of everything, who has no birth or death. So he's referring to Krishna as Brahman, which may get a little confusing, but yeah, he's a source of Brahma, and he is therefore Brahman and eternal. In the Upanishads, it's stated that the supreme Brahman, which is Krishna, is as effulgent as the sun and is the origin of everything, and anyone who can understand that original person becomes liberated from the material conditional life. We heard that before. Anyone who can simply be attached to you by devotional service can know your actual position, your birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities. Yeah, so somebody who's attached, simply by being attached to you by devotional service, can know your actual position, your birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, simply by understanding your constitutional position, appearance, and disappearance, one can be immediately elevated to the spiritual kingdom after quitting this present body. Therefore, to cross over the ocean of material nescience, an intelligent person takes shelter of your lotus feet and is easily transferred to the spiritual world. There are many so-called meditators who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the Supreme Soul present in everyone's heart. Therefore, there is no necessity of one's meditating on something beyond you. One who is always absorbed in meditations on your original form of Krishna easily crosses over the ocean of material nescience. But persons who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul remain within this material world, in spite of their so-called meditation. If, by the association of your devotees, a person comes to the knowledge that Lord Krishna is the original Supersoul, then it is possible for him to cross over the ocean of material ignorance. For instance, a person becomes transcendental to the mistake of thinking a rope is a snake. As soon as one understands that the rope is not a snake, he is liberated from that fear. Whew. For one who understands you, therefore, through your personal teachings as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, or through your pure devotees as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic literatures, that you are the ultimate goal of understanding, he need no more fear this material existence. So that's the cure for fearless, or that's the recipe for fearlessness. Let me repeat that. For one who understands you, therefore, through your personal teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, or through your pure devotees, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic literatures, that you are the ultimate goal of understanding, he need no more fear this material existence. The way a rope is not a snake, once that one realizes that, once I realize that, a rope is not a snake, then yeah, the fear is lost. So similarly, once we get to know Krishna, the origin of everything of this material existence, we become fearless because we know the origin, the creator, the source. So Brahma continues, so-called liberation and bondage have no meaning for a person who is already engaged in your devotional service. Just as a person who knows that the rope is not a snake is unafraid, knows that the rope is not a snake, is unafraid. So I repeat that, so-called liberation and bondage. So bondage, being attached to this material, liberation, wanting to be, liberated from all this stuff in this world. They have no meaning. Those aspirations are not there to want to hold on to things or to want to let go of everything, have no meaning for a person who is already engaged in your devotional service, just as a person who knows that the rope is not a snake is unafraid. A devotee knows that this material world belongs to you, and he therefore engages everything in your transcendental loving service. Thus, there is no bondage for him. For a person who is already situated in the sun planet, there is no question of the appearance or disappearance of the sun in the name of day or night. So if you're on the sun planet, there's no day or night. It is also said that you, Krishna, are just like the sun, and Maya is like darkness. When the sun is present, there's no question of darkness. So for those who are always in your presence, there's no question of bondage or liberation. They're already liberated. On the other hand, persons who falsely think themselves to be liberated without taking shelter of your lotus feet fall down because their intelligence is not pure. If one therefore thinks that the Supersoul is something different from your eternal personality, and thus searches out the Supersoul somewhere else, in the forest or in the caves of the Himalayas, his condition is very lamentable. Your teachings in the Bhagavad Gita are that one should give up all other processes of self realization and simply surrender unto you, for that is complete. Because you're supreme in everything, those who are searching after Brahman effulgence are also searching after you. So Krishna's effulgence, well, it's coming from him. So some see this effulgence as the goal of life, but Brahma is pointing out that they're actually searching after you, Krishna. And those who are searching after supersoul realization are also searching after you. Because there's those that meditate to find, to meet the supersoul, but that is also Krishna. So Brahma is pointing that out. You have stated in the Bhagavad Gita that you yourself, by your partial representation as the supersoul, have entered into this material cosmic manifestation. You are present in everyone's heart, and there is no need to search out the supersoul anywhere else. If someone does so, he is simply in ignorance. One who is transcendental to such a position understands that you are unlimited. You're both within and without. Your presence is everywhere. Instead of searching for the supersoul anywhere else, a devotee only concentrates his mind on you within. Actually, one who is liberated from the material conception of life can search for you. Others cannot. The simile of thinking the rope to be a snake is applicable only to those who are still in ignorance of you. Actually, the existence of a snake besides the rope is only within the mind. The existence of Maya, similarly, is only within the mind. Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one, this is Brahma to Krishna, Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one forgets your personality, that is the conditional state of Maya. Therefore, one who is fixed upon you both internally and externally is not illusioned. Brahma continues, one who has attained a little devotional service can understand your glories. Even one striving for Brahman realization or Paramatma realization, which is Supersoul, cannot understand the different features of your personality unless he treads the devotional path. One may be the spiritual master of many impersonalists, or he may go to the forest or to a cave or mountain and meditate as a hermit for many, many years, but he cannot understand your glories without being favored by a slight degree of devotional service. Brahman realization or Paramatma realization are also not possible, even after one searches for many, many years, unless one is touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. My dear Lord, I pray that I may be so fortunate that in this life or in another life, wherever I may take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. Wherever I may be, I pray that I may be engaged in your devotional service. I do not even care what form of life I get in the future, because I can see that even the form of cows and calves or coward boys, the devotees are so fortunate to be always engaged in your transcendental loving service and association. Therefore, I wish to be one of them instead of such an exalted person as I am now. Yeah. Brahma is saying, therefore, I wish to be one of those coward boys, calves, cows, instead of this position that I am now, for I am full of ignorance. The gopis and cows of Vrindavan are so fortunate that they have been able to supply their breast milk to you. Persons who are engaged in performing great sacrifices and offering many valuable goats in the sacrifice cannot attain the perfection of understanding you, but simply by devotional service these innocent village women and cows are all able to satisfy you with their milk. You have drunk their milk to satisfaction, yet you are never satisfied by those engaged in performing sacrifices. I am simply surprised, therefore, with the fortunate position of Maharaj Nanda and Mother Yashoda and the coward men and gopis, because you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, are existing here as their most intimate, lovable object. My dear Lord, no one can actually appreciate the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan. We are all demigods, controlling deities of various senses of the living entities, and we're proud of enjoying such privileges, but actually There is no comparison between our position and the position of these fortunate residents of Vrindavan, because they're actually relishing your presence and enjoying your association by dint of their activities. We may be proud of being controllers of the senses, but here the residents of Vrindavan, sorry, I lost track here, are enjoying, residents of Vrindavan are so transcendental that they are not under our control. Actually, they are enjoying the senses through service to you. I shall therefore consider myself fortunate to be given a chance to take birth in this land of Vrindavan in any of my future lives. My dear Lord, Brahma continues, I'm therefore not interested in either material opulences or liberation. I'm the most humbly praying at your lotus feet for you to please give me any sort of birth within this Vrindavan forest, so that I may be able to be favored by the dust of the feet of some of the devotees of Vrindavan. Even if I'm given the chance to grow just as a humble grass in this land, that will be a glorious birth for me. But if I'm not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees go out, they will walk over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I'm just aspiring for a birth in which I'll be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet. I can see that everyone here is simply full of Krishna consciousness. They do not know anything but Mukunda, which is another name for Krishna. All the Vedas are indeed searching after the lotus feet of Krishna. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find Krishna. And it is said in the Brahma Samhita that it's very difficult to find Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by systematic reading of the Vedic literatures. But he is very easily available through the mercy of a pure devotee. The pure devotees of Vrindavan are fortunate because they can see Mukunda, Lord Krishna, all the time. This word Mukunda can be understood in two ways. Muk means liberation. Lord Krishna can give liberation and therefore transcendental bliss. The word also refers to his smiling face, which is just like the Kunda flower. Mukha means face, and Kunda means the Kunda flower is very beautiful and it appears to be smiling. Thus, the comparison is made. The difference between the pure devotees of Vrindavan and other devotees is that the residents of Vrindavan have no other desire but to be associated with Krishna. Krishna, being very kind to his devotees, fulfills their desire because they always want Krishna's association. The Lord is always prepared to give it to them. The devotees of Vrindavan are also spontaneous lovers. They do not follow the regulative principles. They are not required to strictly follow regulative principles because they are already naturally developed in transcendental love for Krishna. Regulative principles are required for persons who have not achieved the position of transcendental love. Brahma is also a devotee of the Lord, but he is subject to follow the regulative principles. He prays to Krishna to give him the chance to take birth in Vrindavan so that he might be elevated to the platform of spontaneous love. I'm just realizing I need to charge my phone. Okay. Lord Brahma continued, My Lord, sometimes I'm puzzled as to how your Lordship will be able to repay in gratitude the devotional service of these residents of Vrindavan. Although I know that you are the supreme source of all benediction, I'm puzzled to know how you will be able to repay all the service that you're receiving from these residents of Vrindavan. I think of how you're so kind, so magnanimous, that even Putana, who came to cheat you by dressing herself as a very affectionate mother, was awarded liberation in the actual post of a mother. And other demons belonging to the same family, such as Aghasur and Bakasur, were also favored with liberation. Under the circumstances, I'm puzzled. These residents of Vrindavan have given you everything. Their bodies, their minds, their love, their homes, everything is being utilized for your purpose. So how will you be able to repay their debt? You may have already given yourself to Putana. I surmise that you shall ever remain a debtor to the residents of Vrindavan, being unable to repay their loving service. My Lord, I can understand that the super excellent service of the residents of Vrindavan is due to their spontaneously engaging all natural instincts in your service. It is said That attachment for material objects and home is due to illusion, which makes a living entity conditioned in the material world. But this is only the case for the persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. In the case of residents in Vrindavan, such obstructions as attachment to hearth and home are non-existent, because their attachment has been converted unto you, and their home has been converted into a temple because you're always there, and because they have forgotten everything for your sake, there is no impediment. I have to get the charger. 1 second. Is this working? Sorry about that. All right. For a Krishna conscious person, there is no such thing as impediments in hearth and home, nor is there illusion. I can also understand that your appearance as a small coward boy, a child of the coward men, is not at all a material activity. You're so much obliged by their affection that you are here to enthuse them with more loving service by your transcendental presence. In Vrindavan, there's no distinction between material and spiritual because everything is dedicated to your loving service. My dear Lord, your Vrindavan pastimes are simply to enthuse your devotees. If someone takes your Vrindavan pastimes to be material, he will be misled. My dear Lord Krishna, those who deride you, claiming that you have a material body like an ordinary man, are described in the Bhagavad Gita as demonic and less intelligent. You are always transcendental. The non-devotees are cheated because they consider you to be a material creation. Actually, you have assumed this body, which resembles that of an ordinary coward boy, simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees. My dear Lord, I have nothing to say about people who advertise that they have already realized God, or that by their realization they have themselves become God. But as far as I'm concerned, I admit frankly that for me it's not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech. What I can say about you, or how can I realize What can I say about you, or how can I realize you by my senses? Brahma's asking. I cannot even think of you perfectly with my mind, which is the master of the senses. Your qualities, your activities, and your body cannot be conceived by anyone within this material world. Only by your mercy can one understand, to some extent, what you are. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Lord of all creation. Although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe, I may be the master of this universe, but there are innumerable other universes, and there are innumerable Brahmas also who preside over these universes. But actually, you are the master of them all. As the super soul in everyone's heart, you know everything. Please, therefore, accept me as your surrendered servant. I hope that you will excuse me for disturbing you in your pastimes with your friends and calves. Now, if you will kindly allow me, I will immediately leave so you can enjoy your friends and calves without my presence. My dear Lord Krishna, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. So he continues. The attraction of the sun and the moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you're enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows, and oceans. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is not my therefore it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. Accept my humble obeisances until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within the material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances. In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to return to his abode, known as Brahmaloka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to leave. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Krishna immediately appeared as he had on the very day the cows and cowherd boys had vanished. Krishna left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were engaged. Krishna had left his friends when he left searching for the calves. His friends who were eating lunch on the banks of the Yamuna, and although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he had returned within a second. That is the way of Krishna's different energies and activities. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. Yeah. The verse, the Sanskrit of that is Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivesto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha Vedasya sarvar aham eva vedyo vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. All living entities are controlled by the supreme energy of the Lord, and sometimes they remember and sometimes they forget their constitutional position. His friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for 1 whole year they were absent from the Yamuna bank and were under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought, Krishna has returned within a minute. They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. Oh, you never left, did you? Well, they've been gone for a year. They were very jubilant and invited him. Dear Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we have not as yet begun our lunch, not even taken one morsel of food. So please come and join us and let us eat together. Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation, and he began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. While eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that for the last year I've been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma. After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Vrajabhumi home. It's another way of saying Vrindavan, Vrajabhumi. He was seen by all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different colored minerals collected from the caves of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is always famous for supplying natural red dyes, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them had a bugle made of a buffalo horn and a stick and a flute, and each called his representative calves by their particular names. They were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering the village, they all sang his glories. All the gopis in Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yashoda and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He's so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of this great serpent and killed him, they said. But little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of Aghasura. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadev Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although Krishna was not a member of their families. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, during the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why is it that the boys' parents became more loving toward him than toward their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving towards the calves more than towards their own calves? Sukadev told Maharaj Parikshit that every living entity is actually most attached to his own self. Outward paraphernalia such as home, family, friends, country, society, wealth, opulence, reputation, etc. are all only secondary in pleasing the living entity. They please only because they bring pleasure to the self. For this reason, one is self-centered and is attached to his body and self more than he is to relatives like wife, children, etc. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all takes care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means more than anything else, he loves his own self. The next important object of affection of his own self is his material body. A person who has no information of the spirit soul is very much attached to his material body, so much so that even in old age he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self under their under either the bodily or spiritual concept of life. We are attached to material possessions because they give pleasure to the senses or to the body. The attachment to the body is there only because the I, the spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is pleasing because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything, and in order to give us this information, Krishna descends and tells us that the all attractive center is He Himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, or a highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahma Bhuta or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as a hoofprint. Krishna is the center of all great souls, and he is the shelter of the material worlds. For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world, is not far away. He does not live within the material world where there is danger at every step. In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Sukadev Goswami even recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Thus Krishna's childhood appearance, his sporting with Balaram in Vrindavan, was described. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 14th chapter of Krishna, entitled Prayers Offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. Thanks for sticking with me. 38 minutes, and good night. Tomorrow we've got chapter 15, the killing of the Dhenuka Sura. Killing of Dhenuka Sura. Good night. Thank you.